Hey there, and welcome to this session solving tactics on chesstempo.com. Today is 1800, 1900. Just gonna take a little look. I already started a couple of problems. So d7, d7, rook takes knight check, king f7. Knight double check. Let's say king g7 and rook takes e7. So knight check, king f7. I'm sorry, d7, rook takes d7, rook doesn't take. What else could he do? d7, rook e7, boom, boom, boom. d7, yeah, basically rook anywhere, and I'll have knight check picking up the rook, yeah. So d7 and rook anywhere, and I'll win at least the exchange. So d7, rook d7, might as well, yeah. Check. Now if king f7 to protect e8, there will be knight h6 double check. Okay. Uh, this was one line, but knight check. Oh, okay, because now the plan is knight f6. But still, knight takes h6. Yeah? Knight check, knight h6. Um, okay, let's just continue winning material then. Rook check. All of it, all of it. I didn't find that problem very interesting. Rook h6, or these kinds of moves are the ones that sort of leap out at me. Rook a8. Rook a8. Queen d7, rook. And if queen anywhere, I'll just take on e7. Can I take on f7? King takes f7 and then do something about this rook? I don't know. Rook a8 feels proper. Rook a8, queen g4, rook takes f, king f7, queen a8 check, queen c8. There should be something there. Queen c8. No, I don't see it. Okay, so let's try something else. If I just play rook a7 immediately, threatening rook e7, this rook can't move except to f5. So the rook goes to f5. So rook a7, rook f5, but then rook takes e7. Yeah, rook a7. Rook a7, if rook e5, there's queen check, king h8. Well, there's queen check, king h8, and then just rook takes e7. That was a weird problem for weird to have such a high rated problem. The 1800s are really weird because some of them are really easy and some of them are really, really difficult. Uh, Rook f8, king e7. What am I trying to do here? What am I trying to do? I feel like I'm trying to checkmate. Rook check, king e7, rook check, king back. Well, I mean, no, there's king d6. I could play rook e8, setting up rook f7 check, king. What about rook d7? Rook d8, threatening rook d7. Rook d8, threatening rook d7 mate. He could do lots of things. He could move his rook, but that would just drop the rook. He could take here obviously, but that would be sort of the point. So rook d8, rook d8. And if you move the knight, I've got rook h7 mate. So rook d8. There's rook e2. Rook d8, rook e2, rook f8 check. Then king g. There's rook takes f6, king takes f6. No, there's rook check, rook e7. Then take this rook and then take that rook. 1 second, bathroom break. Put it on pause. There it is. Okay, yep, I'm back. So rook d8 was the move, right? Rook d8 so that if king e7, there's still rook d7. Because if you play rook c8 instead, there's rook c7, king d6. So rook d8, king g7. King g7. And then if rook d7, there's king takes h8. Wait a second, am I just overthinking this way too much? What about rook f7, king e7, rook d8, mate, rook f7, king d7, rook g8, and then king h8 and pick up on f6? No. Huh. Just take the free rook. Or I'm sorry, take the free knight. What a dumbass. I didn't even notice there was a hanging knight. Oh man. Uh Queen check. King f6. king h8, picking up on b2. So the real test is going to be king h6, yeah? So I need to figure out what to do after queen g8, king h6. Okay, there's knight h5 first. Yeah, okay. So knight h5, check. Yeah. Knight h5 check, pawn takes queen check, and if king h6, there's queen g5 mates. Knight h5 check, pawn takes queen g8, and if king f6, queen h8 picking up on b2. No. Oh, this is mate. Yeah, this is mate. I didn't recalculate after. I didn't go back in my brain and calculate again after the g pawn is gone. But that's a nice one. Mistakes made in this position. Queen f7 check. Yeah, queen f7. Yeah, queen f7 and queen g8 are the main problems. Queen f7. The problem with that is king h6 and excuse me, queen g8. I already covered in my calculation. Uh, Queen g7, king g7, rook check, king back to h8. No, there's bishop. There's bishop. Oh, dumbass. Okay, there's rook h4. So that g takes f can be met with rook h6. Anything else? Am I really threatening there? Like rook h4 stops g takes f, but is it threatening anything? Like rook h6, pawn h6. I don't really have anything. I wish I could get rid of this g pawn so I can deliver rook h4 mate. If I could somehow get rid of the h pawn. So what about rook h4 threatening like queen g5? But it's not because then after at the end of that the king has g7, yeah? That's the issue. The issue. Uh 94. I don't see what that's doing. Let's see. Knight g5. Rook. Knight g5. There's g6. And there's rook g8. Knight e8, still g6. Oh, just trying to find a move, you know? Rook h4, it has a lot of sense to it. Just to stop g takes f. And threaten queen g5. So it's the only candidate move that I see that really furthers the attack, which is why I think that it's the correct move. But yeah, difficult to say. Rook h4. Rook g8. Queen h5. Rook h4. Queen a5. Then there would be queen e3. Okay, that wasn't something that I considered. um, Knight e4. Rook takes h6. Pawn takes h6. What can you do? Ah, but queen e3. That way rook h4 can be met with queen takes c5 as well as still threatening mate. Now that's a move. That was very difficult to see, and I missed rook d4. Couldn't see it. But it's such a, I don't feel bad for sort of feeling my way through that problem because it was the kind of problem you sort of had to feel your way through. What's going on here? He wants knight f6, knight e4 check. If knight b7, king e or king c7. So I should probably play like knight b3, knight d2 to stop knight e4, no? Knight c6 check. Let's say king e8. And now there's no way for me to stop knight f6, knight e4. Uh, it's a bit passive, but I don't see an active square where I can cover e4. I can't get to d6. There's no way to get at d6. You can always just guard it. So something like knight b3, knight f6, knight d2, king c7, king b3. But I can never really come around. Yeah, you just gotta defend. Two comments here. Two comments. Yeah, anyway. Um, it's just once the, if you play this way, I don't know, how are you gonna stop the knight getting to g3? You know, it just can't be done. If you try to go the other way, let's say you go king d2, knight, king e, knight. The knight still covers f2, and there's also the additional threat of knight d2. So yeah, it's just impossible to defend. You have to come back with the knight. Queen check. Queen check, knight takes, and I'm up the exchange, yeah? I have a rook for a piece. Queen check, bishop, knight here, and queen f2 doesn't work because of queen takes b3. Alright, I'm satisfied. If queen takes, there's knight a7 check, king d8, king b8, knight takes c6 check. Damn. That's elaborate. Okay, so if knight c6, knight a7 doesn't work because of queen takes a7. Knight c6, queen a8, there's knight b8. Then after that, there's knight a7. So it looks like the only move is something like rook d8. Now rook d8, knight a7 check, loses the queen. Knight here, queen check. Knight b7, knight b8 forced. Knight a7, king d8. Huh. C6, knight check wins the queen. Or just queen a8 checkmate. b6, queen a8 checkmate. So it feels like rook d5 is the only move. Shame to give up the exchange. Knight's here. Queen check. Knight b7. And after knight a7, there's just no way to get through, huh? So then rook e5, queen a8 check, rook d7 seems the only way to go. King b8. Oh my god. Oh my god. King b8. Ow, you idiot. King b8. Oh my god. Oh, what the fuck? What the fuck? King b8. Dumbass. You fucking idiot. Oh. That's shameful. Shameful. Uh, Queen takes d8 here. Would win back a piece and hit a5. Now the immediate rook g7. If rook g7, there's h6, h5 doesn't work because of queen h3. Queen takes g7 obviously doesn't work because of queen takes g7 mates. Rook g7. If the queen moves too far away, there's rook h7, queen h3 mates. Rook g7, knight f3, queen h3, knight g1, queen h7 mates. So rook g7, rook c7. Rook g7, knight e4, queen h3, knight g5. So if knight e4, I would just chop it off with the bishop, yeah? And now I just chop this off to stop knight f6. Or knight g4. Knight f6 is not so much of a concern, but knight g4 is annoying because there's rook c1, rook a1 checks. So bishop takes. Oh, wait. Is it? Is it rook h7, rook h7, king h7, queen check, queen h6? Yeah, I thought that didn't work. But maybe rook check, king, queen check. Yeah, there we go. Rook check, then queen check, then queen check, then queen mate. Yeah, there we go. Uh, black to move. Black to move. Knight takes h5, h6. Yeah, that's not stoppable. But knight a5, knight a5, king b6, knight check. No, that's stupid. So knight a5, king b6, knight b3, king b5, and I'm not good enough at knight and pawn endgames to know if the king getting in is a draw. Ooh, boy. So knight a5 seems to be the only move, right? I can play that move without really thinking too much. But obviously I want to calculate all the way. Knight a5, king b6, knight b3 forced, because otherwise king b5, knight b3, king b5, king e7, king b4, king d7, king takes b3, king c7, king b3, king b6, knight check, king a6. With the draw, because the pawn's not on a7 or a6 or a7 yet. So king b5, king b, king here, king takes, king here, a5, pawn. There are definitely mating ideas with bishop takes, queen takes, rook g8 check. There's also rook check, king takes, bishop takes check, winning the queen. And let's say the rook doesn't take, rook check, king f7, boom, win the queen. Rook check, king f6. There's rook f8 check, king g7. Wait. Rook check, king f6. Where's the win? Knight check, forking the queen and the king. So rook check, king f6, knight check, forks the queen and the king. Wait, can I do it without all that? Bishop takes, queen takes, rook check, king f6, knight check, wins the queen. King h6, rook check, king g5. Yeah, nothing's going on there. Okay, yeah, so rook check, king f6, knight check wins the queen. Rook check, king h6, rook h1 check, king g5, and queen check here should be mating. Rook f5. Rook check, king h6. Queen h2. Queen h2 mate. There it is. Queen h2, queen h5. rook check, king h6. What about queen g3, threatening rook h1 check, winning the queen? Yep. No. Oh, what? What? So it's not okay to take the knight first? Who cares if the pawn? Who cares if it's pinned? It doesn't matter if it's pinned. Why would I not take the knight first? Bishop takes e6, bishop takes e6, queen c5, bishop h3 check. Losing the rook. Ah, no, not only losing the rook, but pawn takes check, king g1, rook e1, king h2, g2 queens, g1 queens. Ah, man, get fucked. Forced, pawn takes, forced, rook check, forced, king takes, fucked. Ugh. Such a small mistake. Real insignificant. Very small error to make. Alright, there's rook g1, rook g3, queen g1. Check. Ah, wait. Well, there's rook g1. There's queen takes f6 too. Now the menace is the revealed check. Can I just say fuck it and, well, so queen g1, queen takes b7, or knight takes b7. How's he winning material back? I mean, there's also rook takes g3, king h7 forced, more or less. If king h8, there's queen f6. That'll be mating. So rook g3 or rook g1 check. Rook g3, king h7. But that doesn't clear. So yeah, just this. Queen g1, king h8, king h7, knight takes b7. And honestly, what's he going to do? How's he going to get material back? Yeah. Knight takes b7. That was only an 1800 problem, 1808. Very simple. Very, very simple. That's more like a 1200 problem. People are just getting a lot of blindness. Okay, so I need to do this without allowing rook e8. So that means rook g7, king d8, queen f6 check, king e8, Rook check, king d7, queen check, king e8. There's also just rook g7 and pick up, but I'm down a piece. Rook g7, king d8, forced. Queen g5 check, king e8 forced. Queen takes e3 check. King f7 or king d8, queen takes e7. So then rook check, king d8, queen check, king e8, queen check, queen e4 forced. Then, unfortunately, I don't have rook e7. So how can I continue the attack? Rook check, king d. Unfortunately, queen f6, I just don't see it working. Queen f6, king e8. Yeah. So rook, king d, queen g. Rook check, rook check. There is a mate on e7 somehow, if I could get the king to d7. Rook check, king d, queen check, king e, queen check. Now if king f, queen check is mates. If king d, queen check is mates. So queen e5, only move. Now the king is on e8. I have a check on g8, which would put the king on d6. Then I could play queen a7 check. Yeah. No. So all of it was wrong, all of my calculation. Queen f6, king e8. Queen f6, king e8. Queen f7 check, king d8. No. Queen f6 check, king e8. Rook check, king g7. Or I'm sorry, king d7. Queen check, king e. Rook check, king d7. What do you do? Queen check, king e8. Rook g8 check, king d7. Queen f7 check, king rook Queen f7 check, rook e7. And I don't see anything else. If rook g8 check immediately, there's king d7, there's king c7. King c7 is horrible for me. So queen f6 check must be the move that it wants. Okay, this is what I calculated. Now, rook g8, king d7. King f7, rook, queen f7, king d8. Now if rook g8 check, rook e8. Wait a second. Wait, is there queen check, king d8, rook check, queen check, king d8, rook g8 check, king e8, queen f6 check, king d7. And then if rook check, it's just a repetition. He'll just go back. He'll just go back. Does it just want me to perpetual him? I thought I had a winning line there earlier. With the idea of winning the rook on c8 or picking up the bishop and having 2 extra pawns. Well, many extra pawns, 4 extra pawns. Rook check, king d7, queen check, rook e7 forced. If I could get that position with my queen still on f6 or something. Queen check. No, I don't get it. I don't get it. Now if queen f8 check, rook e8. If queen f6 check, repetition. If rook g8, rook e8. If rook g8, rook e8. Rook takes e8, there's nothing going on. Rook g8, rook e8, queen f6 check, there's king c7 and he runs away. So I just figured it wanted a repetition, but queen f6, rook e8. Wait, if queen f8. Oh, so the point, yeah, this is what was in my head. It was in my head. It was like bouncing around in there, and I was trying to get this position, but when it was in my head, I couldn't. I think I said it. I said the king would just go back to e8, but I couldn't get it in my head that the rook was on e8, so the king couldn't repeat that position. Yeah. But this pattern was in my head. Okay. That took me a while. I didn't check how long that took me, but How long has this stream gone on? Holy shit, 50 minutes. Um, Last problem. Uh, 50 minutes. I did a stream for 50 minutes. Whoops. I'm sorry. Queen check. Queen takes h2 check. Knight g3 check. Knight g3, pawn h3. Bishop takes, pawn takes, queen check, king g1, queen check, king h1. And I'm going to need to try to win the queen in that position, but I don't see it. Knight check, pawn takes. Knight check, pawn takes. Queen g1, queen takes, no. Knight check, pawn, no. Knight c3. I don't see the point in that. I could play a quiet move. For example, queen d4. If queen takes c6, there's knight f2 check. King g2. And I've not accomplished anything, have I? What else could I do? I could play queen b6, guarding c6. So queen b6, hitting the bishop, protecting c6, and threatening knight f2. Although I'm not certain what knight f2 is actually threatening. Knight f2, king g2. But, you know, it's something. But yeah, knight g3, pawn g3, bishop, pawn, queen, king h2. Things aren't so bad in this position that I should really need. Queen takes e2, bishop takes e2, knight's double check. Ooh, oh, wow. Wow. Is that it? Is that really it? Queen e2, bishop e2, knight double check. King g1. Knight takes e2, check. Holy shit. Queen e2, bishop, knight double check, king g1 forced. Knight takes e2 check, king f2, king f1, knight takes c1, and I'm up a piece. Now let's say he doesn't take. Queen takes, and let's say bishop g2. There's knight check, king g1, and knight h3 check. Yeah, knight h3 check. Wait. Bishop, bishop g2. In that position, there's Knight takes g3. Pawn takes, queen takes g2. Mate. Alright, yeah. Queen takes, double check, knight. Bam! Oh my god. Oh, wow. What a move. What a move. Queen for pawn with a double check and a fork. And if you don't take, and you play bishop g2, mate. King g1, yes, there's obviously the piece win, but there's also the same thing all over again. Wow, what a problem. But wow, 51-hour long session. Holy shit. Okay, thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you enjoyed that session. I hope you learned as much as I did. And until the next time, take care of yourselves. Good luck with your chess journey. Bye-bye for now. 50 minutes. Wow.